was a political wonk. It was James Madison. And
loved intrigue, as you put it.
Loved intrigue, loved detail. He was not married. He was single. He was 35. He, in his 30s, he just loved politics. And he read all about all these accounts, and he came up with an idea that if you have a big enough country, that there won't be any majority faction. That there will have to be consensus and compromise and horse trading and dealing, and that will protect individual rights. Because if we have pure democracy, there was pretty close to pure democracy in Pennsylvania and Rhode Island. There weren't many checks and balances. There was a super powerful one-house legislature in both places. You get control of that, you can do whatever you want. And so he wanted to build a government with checks and balances internal, president, two-house legislature, has to pass, one a long term, one a short term, different lengths of time. So you do get some balance of power that way, a court with some oversight power. You had some states playing with that. New York was playing with that in its constitution, Massachusetts was, but still he thought the best protection was if you had a large continental republic, is what they referred to it, even though then it really only went from New Hampshire to Georgia down the coast. That will have so many different views. You'll have people there won't be one religious faction, which was a problem in some places, he said. There won't be a single economic faction. There won't be manufacturing. There won't be agriculture. There'll be a mix. And therefore, you will be able to protect individual rights because there won't be a majority faction for tyranny. They'll have to work together. That's what he articulated at the Constitutional Convention. That's what he talked to Washington about when he spent month after month living at Mount Vernon, talking about these ideas before they went up to Philadelphia. So when Washington finally decided to go to the convention is when he was convinced that there was an alternative. He was reluctant to go, as I said before, because first he didn't know if the people were ready for a radical change, and second, he didn't have a vision of what that radical change was. Working with Madison, and then later on, as you mentioned, with Wilson and Morris and others, when he got to Philadelphia, he finally had a vision, and he wrote this wonderful letter to Lafayette saying, I now have an idea of how we can make this work, of how we can make this totally new experiment in popular Republican rule, how we can make it work. That was the idea that you're talking about here, that he had gotten from others, that he had patched together. He had written to John Jay, he'd written to Henry Knox, who was the Secretary of the War at the time, to try to gather up their ideas, and he consolidated themselves. So he went to Philadelphia with an idea of a new type of government, and that idea was essentially worked out